Aloha e ngā hoa makamaka o Hawaiʻi nei, mai ka moku o ke awe a hiki I ke one ne neʻe o ni iho. Aloha no kākou.
Aloha and welcome to our first episode of ChatM.AI.
O wao o ke kupu o hauhalu ching no kaimuki mai au.
O wao o ka likoʻali I Larson no makakilo mai au.
We are your hosts of ChatM.AI, and ChatM.AI is a show, a podcast that we created to tell our own stories and to tell stories of our kūpuna. And the name really reflects that. Do you want to explain about that?
So in each and every one of these episodes, you're going to be telling a moʻolelo about either one of our kiaʻi or the place that we're in. And we're going to be in different places. In every episode, we're going to be in different places, and we're going to be interviewing kiaʻi and speaking with different people of our lāhui.
Yeah, so the name ChatM.AI, it stands for the mana of Ancestral ʻIke, and we really want to highlight the ʻIke from these amazing kūpuna and these amazing places throughout these episodes. So today we have a very special one.
And today we're going to be visiting Nation of Hawaiʻi, and at Nation of Hawaiʻi, through Purple Maya and through Bye Bye Studios, we got to have the experience to tell our own stories, and that is kind of where me and Kuku started to kickstart our journey of storytelling and moʻolelo.
It was the place that inspired us to really tell our own stories and create a place that we can share them. So yeah, we're very excited to go over there and learn about all the moʻolelo from that place.
So should we go?
Yep.
See you there! At Nation of Hawaiʻi today. We are in front of the lo'i to explain more about what our ʻōlelo noʻeau is for the day.
So our ʻōlelo noʻeau of the day is ʻAʻohe hana nui ke aluʻia, which is no task is too big when done together by all.
ʻōlelo noʻeau, if you didn't know, is a Hawaiian proverb. We took this ʻōlelo noʻeau from Mary Clavetta Pupui's book, and this is number 142. So what are your thoughts on this?
So this ʻōlelo noʻeau, especially for Hawaiʻi, is very significant because Hawaiʻi was all about community, and with the ʻahuaʻa systems, I mean, everyone was so involved with the community. I think it's significant today, especially because of our pilot episode, which you can tell more about that.
So I feel, again, like you said, everybody was connected. They worked together on a lot of things. And one thing that many people always came together to build was a lo'i. We didn't work in the lo'i, people come together all the time. And that's still something that people do. One thing that we kind of connected this ʻōlelo noʻeau to with our podcast was how much support that we had through our kumus, through our peers. You know, we kind of get to see and learn a little bit more and have a foundation that we can build upon during this podcast. Nation is one of the places where we kind of started, me and Kuku kind of started our storytelling journey. So today we also have a special guest.
Yeah, this is Kumu Keani. We met him on our first visit to Nation, and he's just going to tell us a little bit more about the history of this place.
Sure. Aloha kākou. O Keani Ko'inoa. I am a director at Purple Maya Foundation and also a member of the Nation of Hawaii here. so we're here in the beautiful moku of Koʻolelo and the Ahupua'a of Waimanalo. And we're here at the land base of the nation of Hawaii, which we call Pu'uhonua o Waimanalo. Uncle Bumpy Hanahele saw a need in the community here in Waimanalo, saw a lot of the Native Hawaiian community unhoused, right, living on the beach, and wanted to do something about it. And so in 1992, an occupation began at the Makapuku Beach Park to begin negotiations with the state of Hawaii around changing something, right? And so over the course of that occupation, a bill passed signed by the White House called the Apology Law. And what that promised, outside of apology bill in itself, the resolution apologizes for the first time in American history for the seizure of government and stolen land. And what it also did was it promised a process of reconciliation. And Uncle Bumpy, one of the first to take the initiative there, accept the apology and ask for land to be returned. And so that's how we get to this parcel here, this Pu'uhonua. And now, about 30 years after that occupation, we have over 80 families living up here. We have new ahupua'a restoration projects occurring. We have a bunch of halo and lo'i being opened. Food distribution is occurring out here. Educational programming to help us continue our fight for national liberation for all Hawaiians.
So Nation was really one of the first places that inspired our storytelling journey. And so when we first came on our huaka'i to Nation, we learned all the mo'olelo from Uncle Keone, who we just talked to. And it inspired us to create our own stories that were inspired by Nation. And in particular, we created these comics. They were inspired by stories of Nation that we learned when we came here. So mine was about how the first settlers on Oahu landed in Waimanalo, and then how they built this whole ahupua'a system right through this valley here, and then how it was lost and forgotten and got overgrown in the time when our culture was lost. And so now it's being restored, and everything is being built back, like the lo'is and everything is being built back, and we're remembering our culture again. And your story was similar but different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my story is about healing through the aina and repairing and restoring the aina to its original state, because Hawaiians didn't let things get overgrown, or like they always took care of things.
Yeah.
They never really neglected things and stuff, because they knew that the aina was our makua and our kūpuna. So I mean, it provides for us, and that's kind of why I wrote that. These comics are generated by AI in a platform called Midjourney.
Yeah, it's a way to make pictures of what can be or what has already happened. And so actually throughout all these episodes, we're going to be using these softwares to help and aid our storytelling. And Nation was just the place that got it started for us, but we're very excited to continue it.
Teaching people about all these new modern tools, with also kind of blending it in with old mo'olelo that were passed down.
And I think people tend to be scared of AI because they don't really know how much it can do, and it's a very powerful tool, right? But we can't be using it against us. It's us versus AI. We have to use AI to help us, because it is a powerful tool that can do so many things, and we have to utilize it in a way that is meaningful. Nation of Hawaii, they've actually created some AI pictures to show what Nation could be like in the future.
Yeah. So their images kind of represent a futuristic nation.
Yeah.
And kind of what they want for this place, which
I
was
mean,
really cool.
Yeah, it was such a new and innovative idea, because you have this very old place with this very long history like Nation, but then you can envision it in like hundreds of years in the future and looking completely different, but still maintaining that idea of community and aina. And so now we're going to get to hear another mo'olelo from an amazing kia'i who basically created Nation of Hawaii. So let's go.
Yeah, so we got a brief overview of the history of Nation of Hawaii from Uncle Keanu. And we just wanted to ask you, like, what are your visions for the future of this place?
Well, the ultimate vision is peace. Our stance has always been based on equality and law. So we're so adamant about educating everybody on that. That was our foundation always. In 1993, we actually started to go down to the location on Makapu, known as Kaupo. When the law passed, we took a whole bunch of homeless, houseless people from the beach parks and we went on them and started to educate them on their rights and all that. So during the 15 months that we occupied that land, the state was trying to get us off the beach and give us this land. And so it wasn't until 1994 that we decided to come out and actually accept the lands. When we came here, the lease wasn't signed until like 8 years later. And 8 years later, 2001, they finally signed the lease. The lease was had a clause inside that said we had a 55-year lease, 45 acres of land. Unless a sovereign nation of Hawaii comes about, the lands can be transferred over to the sovereign entity for the benefit of Native Hawaiians. So that is a very important part of the history to know on how we got this land and what it stood for, because we were following the law. How we lived in a highly organized, self-sufficient, subsistence social system. A lot of people was living in tents. It was good because nobody bothered them like on a beach. It wasn't a threat. And so you have many things that happened in 30 years. It's almost like it's a huge thing for Hawaiians to me. The land has never been for us only. We had to protect them to one day open it up so that every Hawaiian knew that what we were doing was actually for all of us. That's why you guys comfortable. When you come up here, you're comfortable doing your shows or anything. You're always welcome. So that was the kind of thing. We never had support from the government. And as time went along like that, we tried to apply for things like from the government or trust and couldn't get it. So we just continued to move forward. I can say that we're the only sovereign land based in Hawaii. But I'd like to see the vision like that. I'd like to see, generations start to leave legacies, generations after generation leave legacies back for the next.
For me, it was very hard to find my Hawaiian identity, and through the Aina, I connected back to my Hawaiian identity by just being in the Aina, by learning practices like making lei, dancing hula, and working in the lo'i. I kind of found who I am as a Hawaiian. Yeah, for me, besides hula, when I was little, I never really had that much exposure to culture, and it wasn't until I started going to a new school that I was just surrounded by it all the time, and just learned that that's who I am. That's who I need to continue to be. So.
That's good. It's just digging deep in your culture. That's natural. It should be, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is like a really amazing place that we can kind of connect back to, and we can really see the history, and we can connect to the stories.
Right on. Keep it up, because this is that's real stuff, Generations that never listened in the past, that, we had our ups and downs with each other and struggles for sovereignty. And so we've outlasted everything that was happening from the 90s through 2000 now, right? And the nation has participated in every process there was, pretty much all the protests that ever had, and main events that, like the commemoration of the overthrow. We, pretty much were leading all the brothers and sisters that created the ahu over there, in the Iolani Palace. Mm-hmm. That's came from Uncle Dan, us guys. So these are the things that we stood for at that time. so that our language and our culture, all the deep stuff that you folks grasping and learning, as that's yours. My generation was like, we grew up with like English, Japanese, all the different nationalities and their songs and their history. I grew up in that society. And I was like, when I was young, right? So you never know anything Hawaii. Only, like Mayday and stuff like that. We're completely taken away from anything Hawaii. That was a real thing. But we were like the end remnants of all those that got suppressed for speaking the language and all that. We were like the last of the last.
Ultimately, today we need to continue our narrative sovereignty and continue writing our own sovereignty and our narrative so that we can dive as a people and as a Mahalo nui for speaking with us and sharing your moʻolelo and your amazing stories with us. And mahalo for being a kiaʻi to our lāhui and our mahalo nui.
So we just came back from our amazing huaka'i at Nation of Hawaii.
It was so amazing.
I know.
All the moʻolelo was
Yes.
amazing.
So mahalo to Uncle Bumpy, Uncle Keone, and Uncle Brandon for allowing us, and all the people at Nation of Hawaii for allowing us into their space and allowing us to learn and gather more ʻIke about Nation of Hawaii.
Yeah, it's such an amazing place. And so now we're going to do a little ʻōlelo of the day. Basically, just a new word for you to learn and keep in mind. So our word of the day is ʻea. ʻea is sovereignty.
And so that's just one meaning of ʻea.
Yeah.
It's sovereignty. And we felt that ʻea really related to this episode in particular because Nation of Hawaii is an organization that's taking really big steps towards completely
Being sovereign again.
Yeah.
And it's like probably the biggest organization that is taking steps towards sovereignty.
One big takeaway that I had from today was that our kūpuna and a lot of people who grew up in the olden days were not really taught about our Hawaiian culture, where they're not really taught about our culture.
People born in the 70s, I mean, the Hawaiian Renaissance really only started in the 70s, so anytime before then, I mean, you weren't allowed to be proud of your culture.
Yeah. And after the Hawaiian Renaissance, more people were more proud of their culture. They had more pride in their culture. Because of that, you get places like Nation of Hawaii and other organizations that are taking steps to being fully sovereign.
So I think the biggest takeaway for me was definitely the idea of community, and we talked a lot about that in our ʻōlelo noʻeau segment, but after hearing all the stories from Uncle Bumpy and Uncle Keone, you really understand it deeper. I mean, they had this entire community that was on the beaches that came and made this place their home. So it was so amazing to be there.
And they still work together.
Exactly.
The community over there still works together to make the place nicer.
Yeah, they're building lo'i and they're planting so many native plants,
Yeah.
and it's just the idea of community is still so present there, and I think that's the biggest lesson that we all need to learn is how to be a community again. Yeah. Mahalo, and thank you for joining us in this episode.
Mahalo, and hope you learn lots.
ʻAʻohe.
Nui ke aloha na hiʻi poʻine, me ke ano palini